Hello, John. This will be some video feedback for you, and you're very far along. I think it just needs a few refinements and adjustments, and you can submit for week 8. Good going. John, my initial impression is really favorable, and I like your attention to detail. You've been very successful with some things that are difficult to do, such as you're one of the few that's been able to use the corporate typeface, I believe, and that looks good. Your navigation is clean and simple. I think your choice of black and white or monochromatic photography makes it very distinctive, and it's not fancy, but it has its own kind of simple elegance to it. I like that. For menu, let's see what you've done. You've embedded a PDF from your print design class, and I like that you have blacked out the crop marks, so it fits very comfortably there. Now here's the challenge, is to get your print typography to look like your web typography, or vice versa. Ideally they would be seamless, and maybe treat images the same way in your web page as much as is possible as you do in your print typography or print menu. So you bled images off to the right. You use this dotted line motif, which you might consider incorporating. You can do that in CSS, believe it or not. This leaf motif you might consider employing somewhere on your web pages, elsewhere on your web pages. You've got nicely fleshed out child pages. Might consider a footer that has social media links. And I see you've got an hours and location page too. Wherever possible, you might want to flesh out your child pages with a bit more photography. I only see this one, other than the menu, I see nice that you have the home back by clicking on the logo. This is the only image I see. That's okay. It's very spare, and I appreciate that quality. I'm not suggesting that you complicate your pages, the design of them, but I think additional photography would be good. And here's an occasion to bleed your image. Maybe the image could butt up next to the navigation, and it could bleed left and right. That way it would adapt very well to small devices, such as smartphones. Appreciate that you've got the logo to be transparent. Let me take a look at your code here. Did you use SVG file format? SVG file format supports transparency, and it also is a vector file format. So you can enlarge line art such as the logo infinitely without any degradation to the image. I see that you've used it's a PNG. PNG is it's fine to use also. It does also support transparency. This is the host code, which I hope by now you've learned to ignore. That's what GeoCities places on your pages dynamically. I see you have an external style sheet. Any reason why you've called it syntax? And looks like you're on the way to using the corporate typefaces. They show up at least on your menu. So good job figuring that out, or working to figuring that out. Know that this might override some of your type styling. And if you have type styling in several places, certainly if you have it on your HTML still, know that that will override anything in your external style sheet. So try not to have CSS in more than one place, whether it be an external style sheet, an embedded style sheet, or inline styling. Here I see that you have defined your menu here, and it began with an unordered list, which is what that UL means. And you have each of your child pages listed here. So I know that you started with a sitemap, and that became the basis of your navigation. Good job. John, did you consider adding a footer? It's a good place to put a coded sitemap for search engine optimization, but also a good place for social media and contact information. It's great that you have left some meta comments. This week we'll talk about meta tags, which go up in the head. These are search terms that you can enter to make your website viewable by search engines, or to optimize that. John, here is the wireframe that you had hoped to achieve, I think with a slideshow. And you know, you're really close. You have the container for it. I think you just need to apply it. Now, as far as centering the menu or the navigation and the logo, I don't mind the way it looks now, flush left, rag right, I guess, but it should be a center in the external CSS where you're addressing the container, I guess that is your navigation. It should be try center, you know, as a tag there, and see if that works. Also, you know, thanks for compiling this into a single file that I can scroll through, and including your browser shots. And here I can see what it looks like in Safari, Firefox. Are you on a PC? Let's see. Do you indicate what it is? Anyway, I really like this this package that you've given me. It's very easy to get through. And I see that you didn't get very many errors. That means that, you know, you're clean coding and you validated not only your HTML but also your CSS. So I think you have all the tools necessary to refine this during this week, and I look forward to seeing it. I guess my main comment was, you know, I'm hungry for more images of this quality. So keep the monochromatic theme. It looks really well. It's very distinctive. And wherever you possible, try to get the images to bleed left and right as well, or scale themselves up, you know, left and right. That's also a CSS tag. And see if you can get them to butt up, say, to the navigation to avoid these bands. But that's, you know, minor criticism. You've done really well. Good job. Last, John, I see that you have paid some attention to organizing your files. I see you've got, well, let's see, you're up to site 4, right? Yeah, I mean, because you're not creating a site every module, I think that makes sense. So those weeks that required a sort of a new website, you've created a folder for it. So I guess I would expect to see Town Site 5 for your final. All right, I hope this gives you enough information to, you know, refine it, but it's perfectly proficient in all categories for week 6. Lastly, John, as you know, proofread your copy, and if you start to add more content to your child pages, and maybe run it by somebody with an objective pair of eyes. It's always embarrassing to have a typo or a grammatical mistake in a presentation. So if you know of any English majors, run it by them. Great job. I look forward to seeing the final.